Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome back. Today we are diving into some very cool things related to quantum healing and past lifetimes and unifying all aspects of your soul. So we're going to be all over the place with this training, and I want to start with the fact that you are a limitless, multidimensional being. And hopefully by this point you've realized that, and if you've clicked on this video, I'm gonna guess you are in the level of awareness where you've started to realize the magnitude of who you are as a being and the power of your soul. Now, what I want to talk about today is the ways in which we can end up feeling a little bit more depleted or downtrodden instead of being in our full embodied power. So obviously we've all had experiences in our 3D reality in this current lifetime that has pulled us down. And I've shared very openly multiple times about my own experiences of trauma or grief or pain or anxiety, or just sharing even those smaller moments in time that created a really big impact and imprint for me. So it doesn't matter what we've experienced in this life. No one is a stranger to that process. But we're going to be looking at this on an even grander scale in terms of past, present, and future lifetimes. Because there's so many different beliefs out there, and obviously I only know what I believe or what resonates with me from all my studies and years of doing this. But there's no way I can say like this is 100% the truth, because so much of it is beyond our ability to prove at this point in time. So I want to note that whether you believe in the parallel realities kind of theory and how there are infinite versions of you, like every single choice point that you've made has split off multiple versions that exist in parallel realities, right? There is a theory and a belief around that, which I talk about sometimes in regards to quantum jumping, where we're wanting to connect to a version of ourselves who's in a different timeline or a different reality. And we're going to kind of hop over into that identity, that version of self, right? But obviously that can't necessarily be proven to be true. So if you believe it, what I'm about to share will help alongside that. And even if you don't believe in that, what I'm about to share will help alongside your non-belief, okay? The other thing is, even if you have yet to uncover past life beliefs, past life memories, or if you believe that you have existed across multiple dimensions, or that you have galactic origins and maybe are a starseed or a light worker or angelic DNA, or like whatever you believe about your personal soul and your experience here, what I'm about to share is something that I believe works across the board, because it's just truly about regaining all aspects of self and pulling them back into where you currently are in the present moment. So before I dive into this more, I actually have a free quantum healing hypnosis activation that helps you do this, where I'm guiding you through this process, and it's called a soul unification healing. And it's all about getting that big picture, that higher perspective viewpoint, and looking at areas in this lifetime as well as past, as well as potentially future or alternate realities, where you are seeing moments of pain or moments of impact where a little fractal of your greater soul essence was either left behind, and I'll get into that in a second, or just influenced and felt like a negative pull or a negative drain or anything like that. And we're recollecting all those aspects of self and bringing it back into you now, so that you can feel fully embodied across all these time, space, dimensions, and realities. So that is linked in the description if you want to check it out. I say this every time, but it's one of my favorites. It's very, very powerful. So I hope it can assist you with whatever you're currently navigating and just feeling more fully embodied in all that you are. So with that said, and free hypnosis aside, this is a process that came to me because one of the things that I'm very gifted at is timeline repair, and it has to do with healing the energetic body as well as the subconscious programs that have been created from a moment of pain. And I've been blessed or not so blessed with many experiences in my life where I've been able to do this process. It's probably one of my biggest passions as well. It's just like the fact that we can heal things that have happened years ago or decades ago or in other lifetimes or in our generational line and feel the effect of it instantaneously in the present moment. To me, that's like one of the coolest things ever. So I am fascinated by looking at the timeline. And as I say this, I want to make a side note that in the quantum theory and in a lot of the different, I don't know if it's spiritual theories or like energetic theories or just different perspectives and beliefs, right? They talk about how there is no such thing as past, present, and future. It's not linear. It all exists right now. Everything is existing all now at the same time, even though we are only focused on our localized point of reference and our perception, right? It's also why our logical mind can be one of the biggest hindrances to the growth and the empowerment or the manifestation. Because if the logic is trapped on this linear timeline, thinking that this thing happened in the past, or this is where I am in the present, and in order to get to the desired future, I have to do X, Y, Z, right? Or I can never get to there because of this thing from the past. It just muddles your human experience, and it can create a lot of chaos and also a lot of really mundane energy, because now you are, instead of like allowing yourself to be multidimensional and flow and shift and evolve and change and leap and suddenly be somewhere else and like showing up in the world in a new way, most of us spend our reality trapped in the current identity and the current sense of self, which is very much based on past pain. I feel like I just said a lot, and I feel like it was also very important. So if you need to rewind for like the last minute or two, because that is something that you'll want to have sink in no matter what, okay? So when I talk about past, present, and future, even saying those labels, I'm personally of the belief that it does all exist right now. And so even when I've had past life flashbacks or memories of different lifetimes, there's the part of me that sees like, oh, it was this many years ago or in this different ancient civilization. But then there's also the part of me that's like, quite possibly it could all exist right now. I don't even know, right? Compared to where I am in this body, it feels like it's in the past. But when I feel aware of my multidimensional self and that greater aspect of who I am beyond this current 3D self, then I realize like it could be existing right now. And there could very well be an aspect of my soul that is experiencing this on a similar time frame where they're existing right now as well, okay? The point of so much of the quantum work and so much of the things that I support people with is about being able to embody all aspects of the self and to no longer feel limited to, I am this current version of me, or I am stuck because of my past, or I can never achieve those things because of these constructs or because of the way society works or because of the beliefs I have about myself. So a lot of what I do is empowering you to remember you're so much more. And a lot of that process comes from connecting to the divine creator and to you across all dimensions. right? And I keep going up and down with my hands here, but you could see it side to side. It just is. It's all there, right? That's just how my human mind works. Like past, present, future, I think of left to right. And when I think of the multidimensional, I think of down to up. But you could see it however you want to see it. Truthfully, it's probably all around us all the time in any direction. So, the process of soul unification, and I'll start with how we do this in our current reality, is kind of what I started on the fact of, if you know there's a moment of impact or a moment of pain or trauma, and you know that something happened to you that created a belief. For instance, a moment in my childhood where my mom or my dad said something and it created a pain in me. It made me feel like I was unworthy, right? That's a moment of impact. So we have small moments of impact and we have big moments of impact. But again, that's all relative. Small ones can impact us even more than like a massive traumatic event, because sometimes those small ones pile up and become something really big. This is so nuanced and so all over the place. We can have these moments of trauma, these moments of pain, and what they do is they create an imprint, kind of like a picture, a snapshot of that moment in time. And when it comes with pain, typically we attach to it more strongly than the positive moments of impact. So those beautiful, positive, loving experiences, although ideally that would be what we continue to build our identity from, typically we build it from the painful ones. And so we have this experience that makes us feel unworthy. And it's like a snapshot is taken in the subconscious, a picture of that moment. And your body, as well as your energetic field, kind of feels the reverberation and the like sinking or the collapsing or just that like sad, defeated feeling that can come from it. And in those moments, my understanding, or the way I like to perceive it and explain it, that makes sense to me at least, is that we can kind of lose a tiny aspect of ourself. So you could see this as like a little fractal that chips off in that moment. Or you could see it as a part of your full soul and your wholeness, that because of the pain or the belief that you're unworthy, it's kind of like this little piece is pulled away and left behind in that moment. Oftentimes we can look at moments from our past and see, oh, that's where my light went out, or that's where I stopped believing in myself, or that's when I gave up. And that's a perfect example of that, because it's like a separation is created from your whole self, and there's suddenly a disconnect where instead of operating at like 100% of your soul's capacity and your soul's fullness, now 5% has been left behind because you felt unworthy. And then maybe 5 years later, a different experience or a bigger trauma happens, and now 20%, boom, really quickly you shrink and sink down further. And then maybe as you get older, all the things start to pile up and become really heavy, and you feel yourself losing more of your life force, more of your light, more of your energy. And so now you're down to like 40%, right? It's just these moments where a separation happens. And I think I've talked about it on another video, but I honestly forget. This is where I feel like Lord Voldemort in Harry Potter is a perfect example of what happens with trauma, because we see that he's splitting his soul and leaving it behind in different objects to try and become eternal, right? But he's splitting his soul through doing something evil. Whereas for us, I believe it to be that we're kind of splitting our soul every time we experience the deep pain and we don't, feel loved or safe or nurtured after. And this is not to say at all that it's now lost and gone forever. Absolutely not. You're still whole, you're still complete, you're still worthy, you're still beautiful, you're still amazing. It's just that as we do this work, we can kind of pull, and it's like you're playing tug of war, right? This piece that's been left behind, now you're pulling it back and you're integrating it again. This moment where you felt unworthy because your parent said something to you, you're pulling that aspect of yourself back and you're hugging it tightly and you're saying, oh, I love you so much, little me. You were always worthy, right? And you're looking at the moment of trauma that took 20% of your light away, and you're sitting with it and healing it. You're pulling it back and going, wow, even though these things happened, even though it was so heavy, I feel whole. I want to be all of me. I want to still show up at my fullest. And I can feel the pain. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm not hiding it away or avoiding it, right? We're pulling it back, integrating it so that we can feel that unification and that wholeness coming back. So that is an example of how I see it. Really loud sea-doo going by. I'm sorry if you can hear it. That's the way I see it when I look at this current lifetime. And without overwhelming you, I believe this also happens across all lifetimes, especially the ones where we are in a more dense energy. I'm not sure, but I kind of think that the higher dimensional realms, because they are generally more harmonious and there's less trauma, this probably doesn't happen nearly the same way or the same amount, whereas Earth is one of the heaviest, most densely traumatized planets out there. And so we have a lot of that, and we have a lot of these opportunities for the splitting of ourself and those fractals to be created, and then us to feel smaller and smaller and smaller. So when you do something like the free hypnosis, link down below, is that when you do something like that, you're able to recollect, and it's like a homecoming for your soul. It's the most beautiful process that I want to cry, because it's truly about allowing yourself to embody all of you. So regardless of what happened in this lifetime, you're also going to float above and uncover past lifetimes and alternate lifetimes where you maybe see a certain experience, or you suddenly get a flashback to a memory and you realize, like, oh my gosh, that depleted me, or that left me feeling a certain way. And we get to unify, we get to pull that back into our center here and now, which is all we're currently aware of at this level, right? You watching this video, you might be existing across so many realities right now, my friend. Like more than we could count, more than 10, who knows, right? There could be so many yous existing, all parts of your soul. But the current focus is the version of you that's sitting watching this on your phone or your computer or your TV. And so we want to pull all these different aspects of self from all the lifetimes, all the dimensions, back here now, where you're sitting in this awareness, listening to me, and allowing you to now show up fully from this place. And the free hypnosis also guides you through the process of future lifetimes or alternate realities in different dimensions. So it really opens you up for your consciousness to show you and kind of shine a flashlight on where these parts of yourself may have been left behind or split off, and then bringing it back fully. Okay? It is so powerful, so beautiful. I've always noticed immense shifts for myself every time I've done it. And this is just a tiny part of what I teach inside my upgrade bundle, which is quantum healing hypnosis for DNA activations, for higher level gifts and connecting to your multidimensionality, across different dimensions and space and everything like that. It's so much about that deeper soul retrieval work and also connecting to the higher dimensions so you can embody more of those gifts and really empower yourself on the ascension journey here on earth, so that you're not continuing to stay in the kind of vortex of the 3D matrix or even the 4D, and you're starting to work even higher with those multidimensional aspects of yourself, as well as ascended masters and God consciousness, to step into a more unified state. So that is what Upgrade is all about, and I'm going to drop that in the description as well. If you have been on your spiritual journey for a while and you've been doing different work with quantum healing or the Akashic records or deep soul retrieval, and the things that I've spoken to today all resonate with you, but you're looking for more or deeper, then Upgrade is for you, and that's the place to get started with all of this. And I would love to support you in that process. These trainings that I have in there, as well as the actual recordings and the activations, have been absolutely life-changing for me and supported me so much to kind of fully integrate so many years of work and so many things that I had understood conceptually and like believed in my mind, but it had yet to fully drop into my body, or I hadn't maybe felt safe to like receive it and let it land. The practices from Upgrade were what helped me really start to embody that and hold that and feel that on a new way, and then also really start opening stronger level gifts with communication to multidimensional beings, communication with my departed brother, and just so many spiritual gifts that came online the more I did this work as well. So that is linked down below, as well as the free soul unification hypnosis. If you want to start there, please do. It's so powerful, and I can't wait to hear how it supports you. I hope this was helpful as well. I'm sending you so much love, and I will see you again soon.